Reclaiming Conversation. The Power of Talk in Digital Age. By Sherry Turkle. Part 1. The Case for Conversation. Chapter number 1. The Empathy Diaries. Technology in every form and shape has become a necessity of a person's life that face-to-face conversations are now changed. The importance of face-to-face conversation is forgotten without realizing the loss of social development and empathy. They make acquaintances but their connections seem superficial. Students form friendship bonds using technology, which are superficial, making them to live a robotic life without feelings and empathy. Serious measures are important for reclaiming conversation by redesigning a change in everyone's life. A partisan of conversation. For becoming a partisan of conversation, a person should attain training to teach the wonders of conversation. Much learning can be gained from the students by involving them in discussions and convincing them to participate in conversations. The virtuous cycle. The virtuous cycle has 3 chairs to form a conversation with empathy and self-reflection. 1. Solitude. 2. Friendship. 3. Society. Technology disrupts the solitude, leaving people uncomfortable and alone, and it breaks the whole virtuous cycle. Crossroads. Most relationships are the result of both online and offline conversations. People have conditioned themselves to accept the positive stories only while limiting their interactions with children. Generations. Generations of 1980s and 90s have gained numerous benefits from the computers. Children of new generation are raised amid the technology, where the option of texting is common, and they are now emotionless. Parents should encourage regular participation in family discussions. Stepping up, not stepping down. Now, it is the time to make efforts to step up conversation with others. Space for conversation is important, as it allows people to come back others. Does the exception make the problem go away? People do not consider using mobile phones for texting as a problem or a barrier in relationships. It has become a disease with deeper roots in the society, causing people to think of it as an exception that will go away. The moment is right to reclaim conversation. Now, the effect of technology is realized when it comes to relationships and conversations with others. People can make the most of it to reclaim the conversation for which initiation of this process has taken place. Chapter number 2. The Flight from Conversation. It is very challenging to avoid the mobile phones in this technological era. The use of mobile phones in social or family gatherings is considered as a bad manner. A person should practice a rule of 3 in their gatherings, in which 3 people should engage in conversation at different times while others can check their phones. Even a silent phone disconnects us. The presence of phone in a conversation between 2 people can be a distraction. Even a silent or a switched-off phone being accessible also disconnects a person from their friends or colleagues. I'd rather text than talk. People prefer texting than conversing on mobile phones is because texting is editable. During conversation, people cannot edit what they said once, leading them to suffer with anxiety. My tiny god. Presenting best image on social media elevates a person's social status and self-esteem, but making him vulnerable to social anxiety and depression. Face-to-face conversations are best to enhance self-esteem and learning ways to deal with other people. Pro-conversation. People should maintain a balance when it comes to the use of mobile phones to avoid becoming an addict. They must rely on conversations without becoming over-dependent on technology. The 3 wishes. Mobile phone grants 3 wishes to its users, and they are: 1. They are always going to be heard. 2. They can focus wherever they want to. 3. They will never have to be alone. The pilot in the cockpit. Regardless of the place, young people are always found isolated and busy on their phones, either listening to music or texting. This picture reveals a pilot in the cockpit of an airplane. It is a flight from conversation, which can be reclaimed with the moments of opportunity. Table Manner 2.0. People are tempted to use their mobile phones on the table in social gatherings. They can form a mealtime strategy to ensure maximum participation in group conversation before checking their mobile phones. "I'm sorry," hit send. Whenever there is a dispute or a conflict between two people, they prefer to text "I am sorry," assuming that things will be normal again. They fail to realize that apologizing through text messages does not enable the hurtful person to see how genuinely guilty he is. "I would never do this face to face. It's too emotional." People in a relationship conflict are able to hide their emotions through texting but unable to do so in face-to-face conversations. They do not realize that texting is not a solution to resolve their conflicts, but face-to-face conversation is. Interruptions? This is my life. With the increased use of mobile phone applications such as WhatsApp and Snapchat, interruptions are no longer interruption but are considered as a new connection. People, specifically youngers, prefer to live their life this way. Life's boring bits. There are many tasks that people consider boring and they cannot resist themselves from using their mobile phones. This helps them to overcome their life's boring bits. Does technology makes emotions easy? People using social media frequently for making connections lack empathy. They also lack emotions to express their feelings and find hard to be accepted by others. Technology does not provide a sentimental education. People find hard to read human emotions in this technological era. Everyone must make conscious efforts to engage in conversations. Part 2. One chair. Chapter number 3. Solitude. Mobile phones are toxic for children as they cannot learn how to converse with others and lack empathy for expressing their emotions. Apart from children, mobile phones also negatively affect adults. These devices take people away from their reality, making them believe to always appear doing something important. The virtues of solitude. Preferring solitude or being lonely is important for introverts, and extroverts also need solitude. It enables them to become comfortable and feel comfortable with everyone. Shiny objects. Parents find mobile phones as distraction for their children when they become irritating, as shiny screens limit them to experience the physicality of different materials. These materials enable them to make their own world of imaginations. Alone with. When children spend their time with attentive people, they develop their capacity for solitude. This makes the solitude important for everyone to function and develop in this world. Disconnection anxiety. Solitude brings out real self of people, making them aware of their potentials. But, spending time without phone can enable people to experience disconnection anxiety, making them to turn on their phones. To reclaim solitude, people must learn to experience boredom to respond to their inner feelings. Where empathy begins. People must need solitude to listen to their heart, and avoid distractions such as mobile phones and social media. They need to learn work independently and ensure that they are disconnected from others in the online world. Negotiating boredom. Boredom in childhood is important to enhance imagination and building inner emotional resources. Negotiation with boredom reflects the signal of development achievement. The Facebook zone. The longer use of social media, specifically Facebook, does not enable people to spend their time in solitude. Addiction to such apps makes people to use them excessively to avoid boredom and avoiding activities other than these apps. Surfing as solitude. Youngsters equate solitude with spending of time surfing internet and social media aimlessly. For them, solitude is spending time alone, where it is not the actual solitude. Lightbulb moments and the value of your inner world. Lightbulb moments are achieved when people work in solitude. Being alone without distractions, they can think of amazing ideas. To reclaim conversation, reclaiming capacity of solitude is the first step to achieve. Chapter number 4, Self-Reflection. One can understand himself in a better way through experiencing self-reflection and nurturing capacity for relationships. In technological world, self-reflection is challenging to achieve as people fail to get time to understand themselves. And then, the algorithmic self. People expect modern technology to behave like a therapist, enabling people track their physiology and understanding their psychology. These technologies serve as everyone's algorithmic self. The only two people in the world. Spending time online and on social media is actually the time for self-reflection that a person can control. People are immersed in the online world that they feel completely alone, considering the one in connection as the only two people in the world. Numbers and narration. In the technological world, people prefer using different apps to learn about their personality and health. The numbers people get using these apps tend them to develop narratives, performing for and deferring to the algorithm. The use of different apps making people to become self-centered. With the modern technology, people are becoming self-absorbed. Insights and practices. The psychoanalytic culture. Psychodynamic or talk therapy offers interpretative strategies to understand own life. These therapies allow therapists to develop a relationship with patients, which is also solitude for both. Part 3, 2 Chairs. Chapter number 5, Family. Before smartphones, families used to have strong bonds. Undoubtedly, mobile phones have made many things easy for people, but at the cost of disruptions during family time. Families 2.0, the work of family conversation. The invention of mobile phones has increased complications in family life. Family conversations are important for the growth of children as they observe their parents and adapt their way of life. Elsewhere, a study of distraction. The playgrounds, restaurants, and amusement parks are important learning environments for children, as their parents or caregivers can help them solve many problems. But, the use of phones in such environments and conversations with children acts as a distraction. The missing chip hypothesis. Excessive use of mobile phones limits the learning process, which is referred to as a missing chip. Parents should discourage the use of mobile phones by the children in family gatherings, by asking them to switch off their phones and take part in the conversation. Missed opportunities. These days, families are missing opportunities in close family conversations. Not only children but also parents also find lost in technological oblivion, dreaming a different life. The addiction to the technology has enabled them to know people living abroad or at distances but not the closer ones. Children and their parents should switch off their mobile phones during family times to have open conversation without any distraction. Left to their own devices. When a conflict-like situation rises in a family, it is supposed to be shared for viable solutions. But the mobile phones have provided the way out to share anything important on the social media. Asymmetry. Mobile phones have caused relationships between parents and children to be asymmetrical. When working better is not doing better. Living without phone these days is like having one of the hands amputated, making a person helpless. But, people can reduce the use of these gadgets because it can hamper the development of their children in areas of developing empathy, intimacy, and self-esteem. Exploring conflict. Solving family conflicts using a phone is ineffective, because it does not contain empathy and emotions like face-to-face conversations. My problems with punctuation. With the use of punctuations and emotions when texting, a person reflects his state of emotion to the other. Find my friends. Find my friend is an application to locate family members and friends. Staying online can provide whereabouts of a person and others on a map. Future talk. People need to embrace the prevailing technology for new possibilities to talk and to remain silent. Chapter number 6, Friendship. In this era, friendship is all about sharing and discussing things on social media. The trend has shifted from talking and towards posting and sharing online. The march of generations with their generations of technology, 2008 to 2014. In 2008, Social media was popular among young people already, but the year 2014 brought convenience for them with applications like Snapchat. Reflecting negative functions on social media is easier than face-to-face conversations. Friends like family. Applications like Snapchat and Facebook are a good platform to talk to others. Texting through these social media platforms help friends to think and write, than a real-time conversation where once something is said cannot be taken back. Our phones, ourselves, a natural history of texting. Having phones in hand within social gatherings can make friends and family think of losing priority near a person, and also the place loses its priority. 5 buttons, then and now. Many people believed that a true friend is one who helps keep the mobile phone away. But now, the advent of applications like Snapchat has made avoidance of social media harder. Phone phobia. Phones are always considered complicated and difficult to use due to the complicated symbols and buttons. Activities like sending emails are much easier through laptops and desktop computers. Never a dull moment. Friends talk about what is on their phones. There is no dull moment as users are provided with different options. The purpose of these devices is not only texting and making phone calls, but also getting entertained using the online connectivity. Security blankets. The mobile phones also play the important role as a security blanket, when a person is not accompanied by family members or friends. The friend beside you and the friend on the phone. It is common these days that young people talk to their friends on the phone while being with others at the same time. It is absolutely okay as long as they are emotionally connected with the ones they are physically present. Disruptions. There are many scenarios in which people allow their phones to disrupt conversations when they are with other people. They keep the conversation light to be less connected with the people in gatherings, and it is not a common practice. On call. Young people do not compromise when it comes to be attentive to their friends. It is because they believe that if they are a friend of others, they must be ready to receive a call or a text message to respond. Middle school, the feeling of empathy. Mobile phones have made students devoid of empathy, resulting in nothing but superficial friendships. This has raised concerns for teachers as students are becoming devoid of learning basics of conversation. Hoarders. Forming relationships with others online is easier than developing them through conversation. Such friendships are not genuine as a person cannot see them. Empathy machines. The wearable gadget such as Google Glass has evolved into a sort of empathy machine, enabling a person to show their past events to different people to make them understand him. The sense of empathy. Relationships formed online are helpful in different ways as a person can build strong bond with others living far. But empathy is more about having a physical presence during a conversation. Next generations. Mobile phones are posing negative impression on next generations. They will be unable to realize the importance of real-time conversations that strengthen bonds. Chapter number 7, Romance. Silence is common in romantic texting, and it is referred to as nothing gambit. When it comes to the addition of the element of flirting in texting, people must know how to handle the strategy of silence. The nothing gambit. The nothing gambit can make a relationship vulnerable to breakup, as it creates misunderstanding. The best way to respond to the nothing gambit is to become busy so the person not responding to notices this. Friction-free. There are many apps for finding matches or soulmates through which a person only focuses on the looks of a person to connect. A person only swipe right if he or she likes someone and swipe left when does not, which is referred to as the friction-free life. Where are you? The game changers. Online apps are the game changers, providing multiple options without making any firm plans to party and forming romantic relationships. The profile picture plays important role in forming relationships online. Where are you? In the machine zone. Finding a soulmate online is more like interviewing or processing different people. It is a machine zone in which people try to form such relationships and judging others through their profile and looks. Where are you? A question of timing. People using social media to form the relationships often ignore messages from someone they like for a day or two to appear busy. This way, people make others to think that they don't have anything to do except talking or flirting around. Who are you? An army of Cyranos. In online texting, the recipient cannot see body language and tone of voice, but people use appropriate punctuations and emoticons to judge. But in face-to-face conversations, people can see body language and facial expressions to understand and determine mood. Who are you? Technical difficulties. There are some technical difficulties when it comes to a romantic relationship, as certain apps allow the sender to know that recipient came online, read their message, ignored, and leaving them hurt. Who are you? Can our response be efficient? Mobile phones can hurt the romantic relationships, as women complain that they feel ignored when their significant other uses his phone to text others. Who are you? Imposing orders. Online texting enables a good relationship with one's significant others, as they can resolve their conflicts more easily. Maintaining a record of heated texting can help people to figure out their mistakes and rectify them, making their relationship more efficient. Where did you go? People using mobile phone technology prefer telling a bad news through texting, as they find it easier to reflect the negative emotions than face-to-face conversations. What just happened? It is not difficult for a person to put best image, as he has an option of editing text before sending. In online relationships, it is not easy to find what works and what does not, as the conflicts initiate as soon as the real self of a person starts showing up on frequent dates. Old phones. Old phones have become obsolete as they lack many features of modern technology, and the new phones allow people to express their emotions. The better edit itself. Online texting enable people to edit their texts number of times before sending, and that is not the case in face-to-face conversations. What we really need to know. Online exposure can reflect sufficient information about each other in a relationship, but lack of better understanding. Face-to-face conversations enable real emotions, facial expressions, gestures, and body language, making understanding easier. Closure and the archive. In an online relationship, a person assumes that he knows more about his partner than he really knows. The online conversation can always enable a person to analyze their relationship from time to time. Part 4, 3 Chairs. Chapter number 8, Education. It is common for students to take their mobile phones to their classes, and they are tempted to check their phone from time to time. Phones disrupt learning process of students, as they do not pay attention, missing important information shared during lectures. The myth of multitasking. Multitasking in the form of listening to lectures, noting important points, and responding to texts on phone makes things worse for students, resulting in failure to organize their time. The opposite of unitasking, hypertension. Using mobile phones in classes is a new way of distraction for students, as they consider new mode referred to as hyperattention. Educators thus have two options to choose. Firstly, they can either change the students to get accustomed to, or secondly, they can make changes in the environment for students, letting them to feel comfortable. Grazing. In older times, students learned better while gathering information through books, academic journals, and magazines. But the students of this era merely graze, making it difficult for them to develop a narrative for framing events. They want the right answer quickly. Students of this era are always in a hurry to find the right answer to a question. They lack patience and processing ability to develop arguments. Seduced by transcription, putting machine aside. Students have a luxury to take notes on their laptops in classes, which is not a well-organized method and making students look like a stenographer in a court. The traditional way of taking notes enables students to enhance their listening and thinking abilities. MOOCs to think with. MOOCs are used for controlling the hyperattention of students, as they can watch lecture videos and conduct tests. They can move on to other courses once completed to share ideas and doing supplementary exercises, and even use mobile phones without getting insulted. With no one there, everyone can be heard. Teachers preferring MOOC consider traditional classrooms as a challenge that technology can easily resolve. Online education can resolve such issues, allowing them to participate with confidence and to get feedback in an online lecture. Being there. Both traditional classrooms and online classrooms have positive and negative sides for the students to enhance their skills such as learning, thinking and speaking. For instance, traditional classrooms enable students to enhance their presentation of personality and public speaking skills, whereas online classes enable shy students to express freely to learn more. Real-time education in real time has more benefits than the online education. For instance, students can learn the importance of teamwork in real-time education, and they can also hone their debating skills. Clickers versus conversations. Students are required to focus on the delivered lectures in the real-time classrooms to participate actively in discussions. Real-time classrooms enable students to achieve fun learning environment through discussions and sharing concepts, which is not possible in online education. Chapter number 9, Work. People are very much busy with their work that they have no time for informal meetings to enjoy light conversations. They only meet through pre-arranged meetings that are formal in nature. A life in the day. Junior associates in this era prefer working alone at their workstations with no interest in conversation with their colleagues. Young associates do not value the face-to-face communication, due to which they fail to gain negotiation skills and how to shape a conversation with a client. Meetings that aren't the Hansel and Gretel experience. Meetings are not meetings, as most employees are more interested in busy playing with their phones. This problem is getting common in every organization, due to which it is important to prepare students and employees to participate in face-to-face conversations. Attendance. Who is present? As mobile phones are common in everyone's life, people are more alert than ever, expecting any message or call. This alertness not only makes people multitask but also distract them and others around. Breathing the same air matters. When emails are used for resolving conflicts, youngsters fail to realize the effectiveness of face-to-face conversation. The view from the cockpit, seeking a measure of control. Online communication through emails or social media forums is always preferable by people for many reasons. 1. They can control and manage everything they want. 2. Never feel pressured. 3. Conversation never appears to be time-consuming. Get together. Have a conversation. To deal with complicated financial aspects, online conversations are ineffective than face-to-face conversations. People can develop the negotiating skills in face-to-face conversations than the online conversations. Dispersing the workforce. A dispersed workforce causes many issues than the workforce working together on similar force. However, teamwork pitches effective ideas for the enhancement of work quality. Bringing people home to work. Bringing employees together increases the level of collaboration, leading to productivity than online teleconferencing. Conversation dates. When there are many formal meetings in an organization, a date for conversation should be set for employees to sit together for discussions and solving issues. Designing for conversation culture counts. Conversation designing is more like planning for breakfast before work, so that employees can maximize their conversation for at least 4 minutes. This aspect should be reinforced through organizational culture. Dialogue in medicine. Doctors are not trained to converse with their patients but examine their patients through a standard physical exam. A drink and a handshake. Technology has resolved number of communication issues, but a trust is gained through face-to-face conversation. Face-to-face conversations also resolve conflicts between two people, as it involves body language and emotions. Part 5. The Path Forward. Chapter number 10, The Public Square. Online conversations enable people to focus only on positive aspects and ignoring the negative ones. From children to adults, everyone is so lost in the online world that they do not consider the loopholes it possesses. A state of emergency. The major drawback of social media is enabling people to join political movements through it. People expressing feeling online never act practically to resolve the specific issue. Friendship, politics, things to buy and click on. Online connections are mostly about politics, specifically with the strangers, as they are used to participate in debating on raised issue that goes down the dust as time passes. The importance of political change and face-to-face conversation is no more remembered. Catastrophe culture. With the occurrence of natural catastrophe, people are now used to check the issue online without doing anything to resolve it. Room to think in the world of big data. There is no privacy in the online world, and also after the advent of online technology. Not only tools of communication but also organizations are using the private data of people using vast range of software. The world without privacy. To maintain privacy, people avoid using their real names to defy online predators and also ensure that their GPRS is turned off. Surveillance creates the digital double. With the invention of internet, there is no privacy of personal data as people are represented by digital doubles. The self of self-surveillance. The modern states are supposed to reduce their need for surveillance by making citizenry watching it all the time. Before acting or doing anything, people always know that they are being watched through the cameras. Shaped by the system, living in the bubble. People shape their lives with whatever they fed to the system in past about their events and interests. Thus, everyone is living in the world where they only hear the ideas they are aware of. Thinking in public. People are able to share everything with their friends through social media. Objects not to think with. People must avoid controversial topics on social media forums, as there is no privacy and everything they write online becomes a record. Vague on the details. It is important to know that online accounts are being monitored by parents, friends, and teachers. Therefore, use of code words to express opinions or vague details is appropriate to share. Snowden changes the game. Edward Snowden revealed how the government tracks personal details and alerted people about their privacy. Chapter number 11, The Nick of Time. Technological revolution has disabled people to realize that they can find their own voice in solitude to enhance their capacity for self-reflection. A break from mobile phones is important to form good relationships with others while reclaiming conversation. Guideposts. Mobile phones in hand always limits the focus on conversation with other people by dividing the attention. It is important to implement certain strategies for maintaining the relationships and reclaiming conversations. For instance, discouraging everyone to use mobile phones during social gatherings. Places. Mobile phones play a role of distraction in conversations, but everyone is aware of places to converse with one another. For instance, parents with their children during dinner, teachers with students in classrooms, and colleagues in meetings. Public conversations. Public conversations reclaim private conversations by teaching people how to reflect their interest and tolerance. Part 6, A Fourth Chair. Chapter number 12, The End of Forgetting. The fourth chair is more of a philosophical space as it raises concerns for what people have become as they talk to machines. Close analysis of personal activities can reveal that these machines have become personal assistants. A computer beautiful enough that a soul would want to live in it. Computers are mostly used to kill boredom, that they are now taking over human beings. No one remember the true purpose of authentic conversation. Simple salvation. A time will come when machines will become true companions of people as they respond positively than humans in conversations. The simple salvation of robotic moments is complex because they are programmed to pretend. Vulnerability games. People are playing vulnerability games with artificial intelligence that there are many robots programmed to make eye contact and remember names. For instance, Kismet was designed to do things at basic level that people are capable of. Treating machines as people, treating people as machines. People are now used to treat machines as humans, and humans as machines. For instance, a person pause others in a conversation as soon as he receives any email or a phone call. Automated psychotherapy. Automated psychotherapy cannot relate to the feelings of humans and their problems, but the human psychotherapists can. Human psychotherapists can understand the people's experiences, feelings, and emotions than the automated psychotherapists. There are no people for these jobs. People are lonely and they need a companion for overcoming their boredom. In such busy world, robots can become the best companions or people. Smart toys, vulnerability to the as if. Robots can be helpful for people in different aspects except the emotions. Robots are intelligent with the capacity of doing almost everything that people can do, but they have no feelings and emotions. An artificial mentor. Nowadays, people want machines to live with rather than creating machines to live in. The machines can act as an artificial mentor for people. From better than nothing to better than anything. A child cannot learn in the companionship of a robot as they don't have any feelings and emotions. Children need to learn complicated feelings of humans as they grow, and robots cannot teach these aspects. Turning ourselves into spectators. Robots don't experience death, sickness, and life that humans do. Humans can relate to the feelings of losing loved ones and have ability to empathize with others in vulnerable conditions. People are more of spectators when it comes to create bond between robots and human beings. Finding ourselves. People have lost the element of empathy with the advent of technology. Different apps have been programmed to help us empathize and they can take care of our emotional lapses. What we learned. What was the core message that we got from this book? Technology has become a necessity these days. We have forgotten the importance of face-to-face conversation as we no longer bother to make conscious efforts to talk to others without using mobile phones. We no longer realize that traditional way of conversing with others is essential for social development. When two people are talking, presence of a phone could be a big distraction and it affects the way they converse with each other. The reason why people prefer texting than conversing on the mobile phone is because texting is easily editable, but not a viable solution to resolve conflicts. By experiencing self-reflection, you understand yourself better and nurture your capacity for relationships. With the invention of mobile phones, family life has become more complicated. Family conversations are integral to the growth of children. To solve complicated and emotional family conflicts, you need to have face-to-face conversation rather than using phones. Sending emails or a message across is not effective when dealing with complex financial aspects.